Sotah Mishnah. We begin today on Daf Zayin Amud Aleph, right at the beginning of the Yomut. Keitzad Oisalah. So after this woman becomes a Sotah, her husband warned her, and she was secluded with a man. So now, what does he do with her? He brings her to a bezdin in that place where he is, and you have to provide to go along two Talmidei Chachamim to go together with the husband and wife, because in order for the Sotah waters to work, the husband has to stay away from his wife. So we need to aid him for this. Because if not, he's traveling with her a long distance, and he may have a relation with her on the way. And then you come to the Beis HaMikdash, and the Sotah water doesn't work, and nobody knows what happened. So you have to have two Talmidei Chachamim for this. Rabbi Yehuda says it's not necessary. Baila nemon aleha. Her husband himself is believed. He's trusted to come and say that I remain separate from my wife. Okay, now when it said over here that they're going to the Bezdin, as we'll see, they're going really to the Bezdin Yerushalayim. They have to go to the Bezdin in the Beis HaMikdash, the Bezdin HaGadol of 71. So wherever he is to travel all this distance to Yerushalayim. Zok the Gemara, so what did it say in the Mishnah? That besides the husband and his wife, you have to have another two Eidim here. Another two Talmidei Chachamim. Terei v'ihu. So it's two Eidim and the husband himself. So there are three men here that are traveling together with this woman. So hatlasa. So together this is three. Let us say that this Mishnah proves a point that Rav said regarding the Isser of Yichud. Maybe this requirement of Dafka 3 is related to the Isser of Yichud. Usually we know there's an Isser of one man being alone privately with a woman. Right? But usually two is allowed. But Rav says a chiddush in that. When was it said that two men with a woman is okay for Yichud? That's if it's in a city, a place where there's other people around. Traveling on the road in a way where it's more secluded from other people, so there, even two going with a woman would still be yichud. You have to have three. And over here, the point is that traveling in such a place where there's no other people, so what happens if one of them needs to go away, needs to relieve himself? So this man is left alone with this woman. So that's a pshat in our Mishnah here as well, that you have to have three people that are traveling with her, because two is not good enough, like Rav says. So it proves this point that Rav says that there's an Isser of Yichud even with two if it's on the road. Says the Gemara, there's no raya from a Mishnah. Here it's not because of Yichud. Here the reason why you have to have two to go along with the husband, in order that there should be Eidim for what happened. Eidim have to come with them and be with them all the time to come and let us know that the husband stayed away from his wife, and therefore she can drink the waters of the Sotah. So we have to have Eidim for this. Sagt the Gemara, another diak here. Okay, now the point is you have to have Eidim. But why does it say in our Mishnah that you have to have Talmidei Chachamim?
But either way, you're going to have in the ear or in the derech, you're going to have two, because one's going away, you still have two.
You have to have Eidim. The husband himself can't be an aid on this. You have to have Eidim, right?
No, he's saying Shemin's the start of the cover.
Okay.
You're still going to have two. What's the Gemara trying to say?
I'm not, one second. Okay, well, I'll have to explain you later. Okay, I'll have to explain you later. I don't need somebody asking. 1 second, let's go fight now. Now the Gemara is Medaik on the Mishnah. The Mishnah said, Talmidei Chachamim. That it has to be dafke two, not stam two Eidim, but it has to be dafke Talmidei Chachamim. What happens? Why? Talmidei Chachamim in, Kulal Meloi. Talmidei Chachamim is good, but stam, two people to go along is not good. Why? Should this prove another point that Rav said? Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, Lo Yishanu Elok Sheidin. When do I say that if you have three people along with a woman going on a road, that there's no problem of yichud? Okay, and again, in the city, you have to have two. And on the road, you have to have three. But when do I say that? That's only if it's kshedim. If these are kosher yidden, that you rely on them, that they're not going to do anything inappropriate. Aval perutzin. But if you have yidden that are not kosher yidden, the yidden that don't behave properly, afila asara namilo. Even if you have 10 yidden, that's not gonna work. It's gonna be a problem. The 10 people are going with this woman on a road. And Rav said, Ma'asahoy, there was this story that happened. Vayitziua asara b'mita. There were 10 people that carried out a woman as if she's dead, and they're going to bury her outside the city. And this was all done with the intention to do an Aveda with her. So over here in our Mishnah, when it says Moisel Lashne Talmidei Chachamim, so true, we said that the issue over here is that you need Eidos. That's why you need two people. But why Talmidei Chachamim? So L'chayra Talmidei Chachamim still proves another point that Rav says, that when you're traveling with a woman, it has to be Dafka Talmidei Chachamim. Because if it's Stam Prutzim, or if it's Stam people that are not Talmidei Chachamim, we're still Chayshish that there's a problem that they're here with this woman traveling on the road.
Is there another word for Ksherim though? Is there a difference?
Talmidei Chachamim and Ksherim, the Gemara says it's the same thing. Yeah. So the Gemara says, Loi. Again, the fact that it's Talmidei Chachamim does not prove this point of Rav either. Hacha, Hainu Taime, the Yadi La'asruya Bey. You need to have Talmidei Chachamim that know how to warn properly. They know. Rashi says they have to know how to tell the husband properly that look, that Minat Torah, the water is not going to work unless the husband stays away from his wife and he didn't come and have any relation with her on the way. So they have to know what to warn about. So for that you have to have Talmidei Chachamim. Now the Gemara comes to the Machlekes here in the Mishnah. The Mishnah Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Bailo B'chulu, that the husband is believed. You don't need any Eidim B'chlal. Tanya in a brayse we learned, Rabbi Yehuda said, Bailon Nemon, a husband is believed, Mikavachaimer, with the following Kavachaimer. If when it comes to the Isser of Nida, so a husband himself is trusted to live in the same house as his wife, even though it's an Aveda, which is Kares, so Bailon Nemon Alel, Sotah she belav, the Isser of being with a Sotah in this time period, that's only a lav, and Rashi brings the source of this lav from the Gemara in Yevamis. Learned out from a pasuk Achreya Shehutama. It's a lav that a husband may not be together with his wife a Sotah. So it's much less of a severity of an Isser. Like all Shekem was definitely a husband is believed on his own to say that I stayed away from my wife. Rabbanon, now the Rabbanon, the Tanakam of our Mishnah that said that you do need two witnesses to go along for this. We do not trust the husband. Why? Rabbanon Hiyani says this itself, the fact that this Isser is a lighter Isser, this itself is the point why we don't trust him. Nida the kares, because Nida is more severe, it's kares chamirale. So it's something which is more stringent in the husband's eyes, so therefore we could trust him for this. Umehem is believed. Sotah the lav, Sotah which is only a lav, le chamirale v'le mehem. So it's not so severe in the husband's eyes, and he's not believed. So this is the brayse here. So Rabbi Yehuda learned out that the husband is believed with a kavachaymer. So frek the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda mekavachaymer ma'isila. Rabbi Yehuda learned out that the husband is believed based on his kavachaymer from a nida. We have here another brayse, and Rabbi Yehuda learns this out from the pasuk. Tanya, the pasuk says, that the husband brings his wife to the kohen. See, he has to bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. So Minat the man comes together with his wife. But the Chachamim said, that you have to have another two Eidim and Talmidei Chachamim to know that he didn't have a relation with her on the way. This is like the Tanakam of our Mishnah. Rabbi Yosi says, the husband is believed with the Kavachayim that we mentioned before. If a nida which is so severe, it's kares, the husband is trusted. Sotah which is a lav, most definitely that he's trusted. Amrulai, so the Chachamim responded to Rabbi Yosi and said it's not a good kavachaymer. And here the Gemara refutes this kavachaymer in a different way that it did before. If you say by nida, husband is trusted, sheken yesh la heter. He knows that it's just a matter of time that she'll become tahir, and he has a heter. So his Yetzer Hara is not so strong. So for that he can be trusted. On the other hand, when it comes to a Sotah, possibly there'll never be a heter again. Could be that she'll never become tahir. It'll turn out that she actually was mizana, so he has no heter. So for this, it's a much bigger Yetzer Hara. The pasuk says, "Ma'im genuvim yimteku." Stolen waters are sweeter. So and the Yetzer Hara is especially strong in this time period when he knows that he can't have any relation with her, and he thinks in his mind that he never will be able to have a relation with her, and the Yetzer Hara is very strong, so we can't trust him. Rabbi Yehuda says, that it says in the pasuk, like we quoted before, the same thing like the Tanakh says, the husband alone brings his wife to the kohen. So the Gemara's question is, here clearly Rabbi Yehuda is saying that the source of why he says the husband's believed is the lashon of the pasuk, v'hevia ish. And before we brought a brayse that said that Rabbi Yehuda learned it out from a kavachaymer. So the Gemara answers, Amalahu kavachaymer bereisha. In the beginning, Rabbi Yehuda said the Kavachaimer, Uparchua. And the Chachamim refuted the Kavachaimer, as the Gemara brought over here, two different svaras, why it's not a good Kavachaimer from Nida. So then Rabbi Yehuda says, okay, if the Kavachaimer is not good, but that's what the Pasuk says. Fact, the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, Haina Tanakama. Rabbi Yehuda seems to be saying the exact same thing as the Tanakama. He's quoting the Pasuk, Vehevia Isha Sishtai. Answers the Gemara, yeah, the way they learned the Pasuk is the same. The Minat Tairit, it's telling you that the husband can bring the wife. But then the Tanakama adds to that Aval Amru, Chachamim said that you should bring two Eidim along, and the Rabbi Yehuda holds no, there's no takana of Chachamim that you have to bring Eidim. You follow what it says in the Pasuk, that the husband alone is trusted and he brings his wife. So now they arrived to Yerushalayim. So what happens now? She's brought to the Bezdin HaGodl in Yerushalayim, the Bezdin of 71. And there they scare her, they intimidate her. Similar to what we find in the Gemara Sanhedrin when it comes to Eidim that are saying testimony about a person that's Chayiv Miseh. There as well, we intimidate these Eidim. You should realize what kind of Eidim he's speaking about. This is a matter of life and death. It's not just a money matter. So here also, they're Ma'ayim her. And they say to her, Biti, my daughter, Harbe Yayin Naise. Wine, drinking wine can do a lot to a person and cause inappropriate actions. Harbe Schaikaise, or laughter, and they could also bring this. Harbe Yaldasaisa, immature behavior can bring about these things. Harbe Shchenim Haraim, bad neighbors that you may that know how to convince you of these kinds of behaviors and are always there to could also cause this. So again, Harbe Shchenim Haram Oisen. Yeah. So these are all different things to just to wake her up to the fact that okay, could be you made a mistake, but now it's time to admit to what happened. Do it for the Eibishter's sake, for the Eibishter's great name that's being written here, that the Eibishter's holy name should not be erased in the waters. And they say in front of her, Dvarim, that she's not even fit to be hearing about this. Or her family is not kedai to hear this. In other words, you say to her about the things that you find benegeh to very great people, as Gemara will bring down when you get to the Shvatim, that they were Maida. They admitted on Avedas that she did, even though it's not on her level, B'chlal. She's not Kedai to hear these things, but we're saying this to her just to encourage her to admit the Aveda that she did. And what happens now after all of this? So if she admits and she says, yes, I'm Tomei, so she veres ksubasa. So the ksubah, she has to write a receipt for the ksubah, that in other words, she does not get paid for ksubah. If this is what happened, the husband could divorce her and he would not be chayiv to give her a ksubah. And she leaves from her husband. The husband divorces her without getting paid the ksubah. If, however, she still says, no, I'm tahira, so now she still has to drink the water. So she's brought to the Mizrach, the opening in the Harabayas on the east. Sha'al Pesach Shar Nikner. And then from there, or the Bach says Lishar, then you go further, closer up to the Shar Nikner. Shar Nikner is the entrance that there was between the Ezras Noshim and the Ezras Yisrael, the Azara of the Beis HaMikdash. Shasham Mashkenes HaSaitis, that's the place where they gave the Saita to drink the waters. They had to be by the Azara, had to be Lefnei Hashem, but she can't stand inside the Azara. We don't know what the water of the Saita is going to do to her. We don't want her to die over there in the Azara. That's also the place where a Yeldis, they would be Metayr her, Metayarnes HaMetzirayim. A Metzayr, you have to put blood on his fingers, and he stands right in the doorway, in the entrance of Shar Nikner, which is not Kodesh, and he's able to stick in the finger into the Azara, even though he's not yet Tahir, and he's able to stick his finger in, and that's how they would be Metayr, the Yeldis and the Metzirayim. And then what happens? The Kayin grabs her garments, and by her neck, im nikru, if it's torn, it's torn. Im nifrumu, if it's torn into small shreds and pieces, it's torn. Atru megala sliba, he uncovers her chest. V'saiser esaira, and he unties her hair. Rabbi Yehuda said, if her chest was beautiful, lehaya megala, he would not uncover it. All this that's done over here for this woman is to bring disgrace to her. V'maya esaira, if her hair is beautiful, lehaya saiser, he would not open up her ear. If she's dressed in nice, beautiful white clothing, it would dress her in black clothing. If she's wearing clothing or beautiful gold jewelry, some kind of a choker, okay, or nizamim, which is a nose ring, or tabois, other rings. To remove all these jewelry from her. She should be disgraceful. And then maybe chevel mitzri. There's this rope, this chevel mitzri. Rashi says it's made from a palm tree. And they tie her clothing above her breast that her clothing shouldn't fall down, but it's done in a way that she should be looking disgraceful. And whoever wants to come and see the disgrace of a woman that behaves this way can come and see. Okay, this is for people to learn not to behave this way. Her servants, her maids, cannot be present here to come and see because that makes her feel comfortable. She's very comfortable with them. We want her to be afraid and to admit. She still has a chance to admit. All women are allowed to come and see her. Shenema, as the pasuk says, "V'nivasru kol hanoshim v'lo yisasena kizim maschena." That all women, v'nivasru, they'll take a mussar, they'll take a lesson from this. They should not act like her zima, like her inappropriate behavior. From where do I know the first point it said in our Mishnah? Where is she brought to? She's brought to the Bezdin Agadol B'Yerushalayim, to the Bezdin of 71. This is very unusual. Even in Negei Tarchiv Misa, you don't have to go to the Bezdin Agadol. You go to a Bezdin of 23. So over here as well, why do you have to go dafka to the Bezdin Agadol? Why can't you go to a Bezdin that there is by the Harabayis or even in the Azara outside? Why dafka to the Bezdin Agadol? Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina, Asya, we learned this out with Gzeira Shava. Taira. Over here it says the kain does to her everything. It said kolat taira. Regarding the bezdin in the Shalshim Vechel, it says al pi taira asher yerucha. There it's talking about the halach of zaken mamre when you have one of the bezdin that says different than the other bezdin. So mala alam b'shivim ve'echad, just like there when it says al pi taira talks about the bezdin of 71. Avkan by the site that uses the term taira, it means b'shivim ve'echad to the bezdin agadol. And then we scare her, we intimidate her. So the question is, in our Mishnah it's mashma that we try to scare her so that she should admit to what she did. But in a Braisa it says, just like we scare her that she should not drink the water, she should admit. So too, we tell her that we scare her sort of, and that she should be strong. And that if she's tahoi, she should not admit falsely, and she should drink the waters. I even know we tell her, Biti, my daughter, if this matter is clear to you, that you're pure, be strong, see and drink the waters. And don't worry, in other words, she may become very afraid to drink the waters, and she may admit even if it's not true. So we tell her, be strong and drink these waters of Yisha'ain. Mayim hamorim daimim elo l'sam yavish. This waters, the mayim hamorim that you drink, is only like a dry potion. Shamunach al basachai, that's on the live flesh of a person. Im yesham make machal chaviyayred. If there's a wound there, so then this sam has its effect on it in a negative way. But ein sham make, if there's no wound there, it doesn't do anything, and it won't harm you at all. So you see over here in our Mishnah. It didn't mention this. In our Mishnah, all it said was that we just are going to scare and intimidate her to be maida to what she did, that she's tummy, that she should not drink. Here it seems like, besides that, we also warn her and that she should be strong and she should drink the waters if she knows that she's pure. So why doesn't it say that in our Mishnah? And says the Gemara, like Kashi, there's no contradiction. Our Mishnah is speaking about before the Megillah, before they put the scroll with the wrote Abish's name on it into the water, before they erased it. So we all we do is we try to persuade her to be strong. We try to persuade her to admit that she is tummy, so we shouldn't have to erase the Abish's name. But once they already put the Abish's name into the waters and it was already erased, so over here they also talk to her about the fact that now, if you feel that you're pure, if you know that you're pure, be strong and do not admit. So after that, there's no over here. It makes sense already that they want to just encourage her not to be afraid that she won't drink the waters. Then the Mishnah says, you say to her things that you find in the Torah about the great people in Torah that were made it to Avedas that they did. Tan Rabbana, we learned in the Braise, we say in front of her the stories of Haggadah that you find in the Torah, and the story that happened in the Ksuvim Marishanim that we find in Torah, Kagain, Pasuk says in here, Yagidu, wise say, they tell what happened, and they do not hold back from saying the truth, and we learn from our ancestors. Yehuda, he admitted to what he did and he was not embarrassed. What was the end with Yehuda? This is, of course, the story with Yehuda and Tamar, so he admitted. And what was the end? He inherited in the world to come. And Reuven as well. The story of Reuven regarding the bed of Bilhah, or the relationship, is according to one tight she had with Bilhah. He admitted and he wasn't embarrassed. What was his end? He inherited the world to come as well. And then the Braise adds, what's their reward? So the Gemara interjects and says, Mascharan, you're asking what their reward was for this that they admitted? We just said that they got Olam Haba. Elo Mascharan B'Olam Hazeh. The question is, what was their reward that they got in this world? The reward is, Lahem Levadam Nitna Haaretz. They alone got the land, V'loi Avazar B'Seicham, and no stranger came amongst them. So this refers to this, that they took a chelik in Eretz Yisrael. Reuven took a chelik in Eretz Yisrael in Ever HaYarden, before everyone else, right? And Yehuda as well got Malchus. So that's considered to be a special, that's what Rashi says. So that's a special portion of Eretz Yisrael. And Lo Avazah B'Seicha means that this has been a get to the bracha of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Gemara is going to bring soon the bracha of Moshe Rabbeinu. So the Gemara says, Bishlai mi Yehuda. Yes, we see in the story in the Torah regarding Yehuda Ashkechan Da'iri. We find that he admitted to what he did. The Chesiv, the Pasuk says, Vayaker Yehuda. Yehuda recognized who this was, who Tamar was, and Vayayme, he said, Satka Mimani. She's right, and that the child here that she's pregnant with is from me. So that was the Torah clearly says Yehuda was Maida. Ela Ruvain Manalan Da'iri. Where do we see that Reuven was Maida? The answer is Rav Shmuel ben Nachmani said, the name Rabbi Yechanan. What's the meaning of the bracha that you find when Moshe Rabbeinu is benching the Yidden, the Shvatim? So it says Yechi Ruvain va'al Yamas. Reuven should live and should not die. Right after that it says V'zois liYehuda, the next pasuk, and this is to Yehuda. V'zois, a connection from the bracha of Reuven to Yehuda. What does this mean? All those years that Yehuda was in the Midbar, so the bones of Yehuda, they were being carried with the Yidden in the Midbar, but Yehuda, his body did not remain intact, and his bones were rolling around in the Aron, in the coffin. Moshe Rabbeinu got up and begged mercy for him. What did Moshe Rabbeinu say? He said to the Master of the universe, Mi garam l'Reuven shahida. Who caused Reuven to admit what he did? Yehuda. Yehuda is the one that caused this. So v'zais l'Yehuda. So therefore, this should also be for Yehuda. Right. So in other words, after it says Yechi Reuven v'Yamas, it's just like Reuven's body remained intact like he was when he was alive. So this should be for Yehuda as well. So miyad, immediately, Shama Hashem, Koil Yehuda, the Eibishter heard the voice of Yehuda, which means Al Eivere L'Shafa. His Eivarim went back into their place, like when he's alive. But now, they still didn't allow him to enter into the heavenly yeshiva. So on that, Moshe Rabbeinu David, Ve'al Amai Tiviyana, bring him to his nation, allow him in. But even after that, he didn't know how to discuss the matters of the halacha that was being discussed there in the heavenly yeshiva with the other Rabbanan. So Moshe Rabbeinu further said, Yodav Rav Loish, his hands should be very strong, which means in battle. You should be able to fight in battle. Rashi says this is the battle of Torah, to be able to discuss matters in Torah. Okay, so then he was able to get involved in the discussion as well and fight. But the things that he was saying in the Mesivta Derikiyah, it wasn't being accepted lahalacha. So Moshe Rabbeinu further said, "Ve'ezer mitzarav tiyeh." He should have assistance from those enemies that are fighting with him. In other words, those adversaries. Now, in the discussion of Torah in Gan Eden, his words should be accepted. So that here's where we see that Moshe Rabbeinu davened for Yehuda, and from the connection to Reuven, we understand that, like Moshe Rabbeinu said, that Yehuda's caused Reuven to be Maida. Sagt the Gemara, Bishleim, now it's understood. Yehuda the Oidi. Why did Yehuda admit? Keheched le Sotah of Tamar, because it was a question of whether Tamar is chayiv misa, so in order that she shouldn't be burned, so he had to be maida. But Reuven lama le the Oidi. Why was Reuven maida to the avera that he did? V'amar Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes says Chotzef Olai Bar Yisrael, or the other gear says man. It's chutzpah to me, man de mafred chate. Someone that is maida and specifies the averis that he did. Right? Because the very fact that a person is being maida like this publicly, the averis that he did, shows that it's not something that bothers him so much. Okay, so why was Reuven maida like Yehuda? Answers the Gemara, he was maida so that the other brothers should not be suspected by their father that they're the ones that did what was done. So he was maida that his brother should be clean from this. Going back to the Mishnah, what did the Mishnah say? So if she's not, if she did admit, that is, if she admitted, what happens now? She loses her ksubah. Her husband divorces and he doesn't have to pay the ksubah. But what did the expression the Mishnah use? The Mishnah said sheveres ksubah, which means that now she has to write a receipt. I received my ksubah. She forgives her ksubah like that. Says the Gemara, Sham et mino. From this Mishnah we could learn out that when a woman gets paid her ksubah, she writes to her husband a receipt. And it says that there's an argument about this in the Gemara in Baba Basra. According to one opinion, you don't write a receipt. Rather, what you do is you take the ksubah itself and you tear it up. Why? Because if you're writing a receipt for the husband, so it's possible that receipt could get lost. It's possible that an achbar will eat it up, and then the husband could still be in a problem where he won't be able to prove that he paid the ksubah. So therefore, one opinion says you don't write a receipt, you tear up the ksubah. But in our Mishnah it says, for the husband to have proof that he doesn't owe her the ksubah, you write a receipt. So that proves that he could write a receipt. Amar Abaye says, Tni mekaras. Learn in our Mishnah, it means to say that the ksubah itself is torn. It doesn't say in our Mishnah clearly the lashon kaisvin shaver. It says sheveres ksubasa. Sheveres ksubasa really means that you tear the ksubah. Amalei Rave, but Rave says, but it doesn't say tear. It says v'ha sheveres ketani. You don't break a ksubah. So I mean sheveres is mashma that you do write a receipt. So how are you learning in the Mishnah that it means that you tear the ksubah itself? Elo Rave. So therefore Rave says there is no raya from our Mishnah that in general you write a receipt. But our Mishnah is speaking about a different case. Our Mishnah is talking about a situation where there's no ksubah written. There were places, the Gemara talks about this in Masechta Ksubas, there were places where the minig was they didn't write a ksubah. And they relied on the takanas chazal, they relied on the tanai of the bezdin, that if she gets divorced or if she becomes a widow, that she can collect the ksubah without an actual ksubah. She just has to present a get or proof that her husband dies, and like that she can collect her ksubah. So in order to prove that the husband paid her already, there's no ksubah to tear. So the only way to prove it is by writing a receipt. That's what our Mishnah is talking about. But in a regular case where there is a ksubah, you don't write a receipt, rather you tear the ksubah.